Okay, so the official story is that Jeffrey Epstein's death was a suicide. End of story. But a recent deep dive into the evidence has turned up a whole series of inconsistencies that are frankly baffling. So let's dive in and unpack the questions that just keep piling up.
I mean, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? It basically suggests the official story has holes so big they're almost impossible to just ignore.
All right, so the official ruling is suicide by hanging. Seems straightforward enough, but the weirdness starts almost right away, with a piece of surveillance footage that, to this day, officials just can't seem to explain.
Yeah, it's actually been nicknamed the orange blob. On the video from the prison, this strange orange-colored shape is seen moving around near Epstein's cell block on the very night he died.
And that raises the first huge question. What, or maybe who, was this orange figure that they caught on camera? And maybe more importantly, why is there absolutely no official record of it anywhere?
And when you dig into the details from the source, the mystery just gets deeper. It's claimed this wasn't just some random shape. It appears to be a person, wearing prisoner's clothing, and they're moving up the stairs right towards Epstein's cell. A digital analysis even suggested that the way it was moving was more consistent with being on a body, not like someone just carrying some items. The on-duty guard said, "Nope, wasn't me." And crucially, there's no log of this person. It's a total ghost in the system.
Okay, so that's the video. Now let's move inside the cell block itself, because the confusion doesn't stop there. This is where the stories from the people involved and the physical evidence, well, they really start to clash.
This really lays out the problem perfectly. You've got two guards. One claims he was asleep the whole night. The other admits she was awake, but was busy falsifying records. But here's the real kicker. The guard who found the body says he doesn't recall removing the noose. And the guard who was awake, she doesn't remember even seeing a noose. Their stories are in complete and total contradiction.
And the hits just keep on coming. One guard's official log was off by one prisoner. Now that might sound like a small typo, but you have to understand, in a maximum security federal prison, the prisoner count is everything. It's the absolute baseline for all security. So when that number is wrong, it raises some serious questions. Was it just a simple mistake? Or in the middle of everything else that was going on, was it something more?
And that brings us to what might be the most bizarre piece of this whole puzzle. It has to do with the single most important piece of evidence in a supposed suicide by hanging, the noose itself. So get this, according to the source's analysis, the noose that was eventually found in the cell after it was sealed off was verified by documents to not be the one that was actually used. So where did the real one go? Nobody seems to have an answer. And just to make establishing a clear timeline completely impossible, the coroner couldn't even determine a time of death. And the reason they gave? The body had already been moved, messing up the evidence.
Now, these problems don't just stop with the physical evidence. They actually bleed over into the official paper trail, and specifically a press release from the Department of Justice that raises a whole new set of red flags.
Take a good look at this date, August 9th, 2019. It might not seem like much, but its significance in this story is absolutely staggering.
Because that was the date printed on the official DOJ press release that announced Jeffrey Epstein's death. He was found dead on August 10th. The official announcement was dated the day before.
So, what are we supposed to make of that? The source asks the obvious question. Was this some kind of rough draft that was written in advance? We don't really know because there's no timestamp. But whether it's an unbelievable typo or something much stranger, it's a huge error that, at a minimum, needs an explanation.
So, when you add all of this up, the orange blob, the guard's conflicting stories, the missing noose, the press release from the future, the source material suggests that two very different explanations start to take shape.
On the one hand, you have the theory of just total catastrophic incompetence. And on the other, you have the possibility of a coordinated cover-up. So let's break down what each of those theories looks like.
Okay, so the incompetence argument is pretty straightforward. It basically says that the prison system is so fundamentally broken that a whole cascade of unrelated, almost unbelievable mistakes isn't just possible, it might even be expected. It's just a story of a massive systemic failure.
But the alternative argument suggests something way more deliberate, that maybe a story was made up, that the guards were told to say they were sleeping, that the orange blob was an inmate who was given access. The thinking here is that as the list of so-called mistakes gets longer and longer, the odds of all of them being random coincidences just get smaller and smaller.
And that really leaves us with the central question this analysis poses. Are all these anomalies just signs of a hopelessly broken system, basically a comedy of errors, or are they breadcrumbs of a carefully planned event designed to hide a truth we were never, ever supposed to see?